and welcome back to the most amazing channel on the internet. I'm your host Rebecca Felgate, and today I'm talking about the top 10 scary things that drove people crazy. Yikes. This channel is definitely a scary thing that has absolutely driven me mad. I am cray. If anyone just watched my most recent live stream, I think that pretty much confirms it. Before we get into this video, I would love to hear about an object that has given you a weird feeling. For example, in my mum's house, there's a terrifying chair on the upstairs landing that just makes me feel very uncomfortable. It's definitely low-key menacing. I actually really wish you would get rid of it. Have you got anything like that? Because I would love to know about it. Let me know in the comments section down below. Also, while you're down there, why don't you like this video and share it with a friend, and check out the links to our social media in the description box. Stick around to the end because I'm going to be replying to comments. Alright, coming in at number 10 we have Mercury. Have you ever heard of the phrase mad as a hatter? Vis-a-vis the Mad Hatter in Lewis Carroll's Alice in Wonderland. He cray. So basically, the phrase comes from the hat making industries from the 18th and 19th centuries. Hat makers would use mercury nitrate as a key part of the hat making process. It was used to treat the fur from animals and make it turn into felt? I don't know, I'm not a hat maker. I am crazy though. Mercury, however, is a toxic substance and caused workers to develop a shaking, sometimes referred to as the hatter shakes. Mercury is also a hallucinogen and would cause those exposed to it for long periods to absolutely see things around them that weren't there. Long-term exposure caused mental instability, so coupled with the shaking, people just kind of assumed that hatters were mad. It is thought that the man who killed John Wilkes Booth, the man who assassinated President Lincoln, was indeed a mad hatter himself. He was exposed to mercury. Mercury was banned from hat production in the 1940s, so they don't have any mad hatters anymore. Coming into number 9, totally different direction, we have Peggy. I feel like Annabelle gets all of the spooky doll headlines, so I thought that actually Peggy deserved some airtime because she's crazy too and sends people loopy. Peggy is a haunted doll residing in Shrewsbury in the UK. Peggy is now owned by paranormal investigator Jane Harris, who runs an organisation called Haunted Dolls. She was given Peggy by a terrified woman who could not cope with the burden of the doll. Burden would be the absolute right word here too. Peggy is thought to have the power to visit people in their dreams, warning them or haunting them. Mediums who have worked with Peggy believe that she might be linked to the Holocaust. In 2015, Peggy caused a media stir when an article was published about her on the Daily Mail website. 80 readers then wrote in reporting having awful experiences after viewing her picture. A lot of people felt extremely nauseous, but most people had panic attacks and felt a general sense of doom after looking at her. Jane believes that Peggy is haunted by an evil spirit. Now, she's asked the doll to stop tormenting people, but apparently one woman even had a heart attack shortly after meeting her. Yikes. Coming into number 8, we have the MURAMASA samurai sword. Want to turn someone into a vicious killer? Get a MURAMASA samurai sword on the situation. That'll do the trick. So MURAMASA was said to be an excellent ancient Japanese swordsmith in the 1500s. He wanted his swords to be perfect weapons, so he asked the gods to instill them with special powers, which apparently they did. However, it actually made the person that wielded them absolutely bloodthirsty. It drove them pretty crazy. Oscar Ratty and Adele Westerbrook wrote a book about the samurai swords and said, I quote, "Muramasa was a most skillful smith, but a violent and ill-balanced mind verging on madness that was supposed to have passed into his blades. They were popularly believed to have a hunger for blood and to impel their warrior to commit murder or suicide." Now, Japanese folklore calls the swords cursed, and it kind of sounds like they are. It sounds like there are also a few of them surviving today too. Notably, there is one still in the Tokyo National Museum. I personally wouldn't fancy touching it because I don't want to turn into a crazy sword-wielding murderer. Coming into number 7, we have Gloomy Sunday. I have heard of music driving people insane, and I suppose if I heard a song on repeat for hours, I might feel a bit nuts myself. But this song is said to cause people to lose it after just one playthrough. The song actually caused such a reaction that it was banned by the BBC. Let me tell you the story. Gloomy Sunday was penned in 1933 by a depressed Hungarian man named Rezes Serez. Rezes was a failing musician suffering from a nasty case of unrequited love after his girlfriend left him. His sadness is palpable and clearly translates into the song, which became his first real success in the music industry. Little did he know that he had unleashed his own heartbreak into the world and other people simply couldn't deal with it. It sent them mad. The song sent Rez mad too, and his former love. Both he and the object of the song killed themselves, as did hundreds of other people across the world, mainly in Hungary. People were actually found dead holding sheet music of the song. Others wrote Gloomy Sunday lyrics in their suicide notes, and one guy even shot himself because he couldn't get the tune out of his head. Billie Holiday covered the song in 1941, causing a fresh spate of suicides, which was viewers around the time the song was banned. Broadcasters just weren't taking any risks. Coming into number 6, we have the eBay mirror. In 2013, news of a haunted mirror went viral after it sold for $155 on eBay. Good old eBay. Student Joseph Birch and his flatmate Sortiris Charalambu started experiencing weird goings-on when their landlord hung up the mirror that he'd found in a skip outside their home in Muswell Hill, London. The listing warned that the item, a so-called beautiful Grand Victorian mirror, was possessed. Birch said that he had woken up with scratches over his body after the mirror was hung and that his roommates had started to see dark shadows and flickerings in the mirror. They literally thought that they were going mad, and I would say gas leak, but apparently haunted mirror. In the listing, he wrote, "I have never been particularly superstitious, but just being around this mirror gives me the creeps and makes me feel sick to my stomach. I would ideally like it to go to somebody who has experience with the paranormal or supernatural and also knows what they're getting themselves into." Mad mirror! Wow, I don't know who bought it, but I wonder if they've gone mad too. Coming into number 5, we have the Da Vinci Code. In 2007, Caroline Eldridge, a painter obsessed with Leonardo da Vinci, moved to Italy to pursue her passion. It seems that her love of the Renaissance painter also extended to the Da Vinci Code novel. Unfortunately though, she became obsessed with the mysteries that surrounded the late artist after reading the book over and over again. It seems that after working on a Da Vinci exhibition for 6 months, she became utterly paranoid that her family were in some kind of danger. She spoke to her parents on the phone and told them repeatedly that she wouldn't let them take her alive. Her father spoke to the press and said she was very fearful for her own safety, and she felt that because of the work she'd been doing and because of the knowledge that she had put us in danger. She'd become more and more erratic, so her family travelled to Rome to go and rescue her. They put her back on a plane to England. Once she was back in the UK, she was admitted to a psychiatric unit for a month despite having no history of mental health illnesses. Sadly, after she was discharged from the unit, she soon ended her own life out of fear that people were coming to get her. Her father believes that she got muddled after reading the book and working so closely with the artist's paintings. Coming into number 4, we have Man Proposes, God Disposes. This is the name given to a painting from 1864 by Edwin Landseer. The painting currently hangs in the Royal Holloway College in London, part of the University of London, although it's currently covered with a Union flag because it keeps sending people mad. The painting is of a real expedition undertaken in 1845 in the Canadian Arctic and shows a moment where 2 polar bears savagely attack a ship bearing the explorers. Have a look for yourself, although do be warned, this image has sent people crazy. A Royal Holloway art curator says that in 1984 a student stared at the painting in an exam, wrote "The polar bears made me do it" on their unfinished paper, stood up, left, and then committed suicide. Since then, several other students have complained that the painting has made them fail their exams, and others have seemingly become mentally unhinged after staring at it for too long. Coming into number 3, we have Ivan the Terrible and his son Ivan. So what led to 2 men slashing the same painting 100 years apart? Was it the images depicted in the painting itself that sent them mad? I actually kinda think so. Ivan the Terrible and his son Ivan is a painting from Russian realist artist Ilya Repin. Created in 1885, it shows a mortally wounded Ivan being cradled by his Tsar father who dealt the killer blow. A lot of critics challenged the historical accuracy of the painting, which depicts events that took place in 1581, but nonetheless it is one of the most famous Russian classics and is currently in the Moscow State Tretyakov Gallery. When the painting was first unveiled, a lot of people claimed to be so deeply unsettled by it. They said that they saw something terrible within the picture, other than the already terrible subject matter. In 1913, a mentally ill man slashed the painting with a knife and it had to be restored by Repin himself. Luckily he was still alive. Once again, the painting was slashed just last year in 2018 by a visitor to the Moscow Museum who was reported to be shouting that he saw terrible images moving within the picture. The man was identified as Igor Podporin, who claimed that he was overwhelmed by something. He later blamed vodka for his outburst and was given 2.5 years in jail. There have been countless wars fought over our number 2. We have the Emerald Buddha. According to the legends, the Emerald Buddha was created in 43 BCE by a saint in India with the help of the god Vishnu. Also, Vishnu was joined by the demigod Indra some 500 years after the Buddha achieved nirvana to create this statue. Now the figure is said to be able to give quote unquote brilliant importance in 5 lands: Sri Lanka, Laos, and 3 former countries that now make up Thailand. To surmise a few thousand years into a few seconds, basically this led to wars between countries who wanted to take ownership of the statue. It travelled from India to Sri Lanka, Cambodia, and Thailand, where it was hidden for a few years by the ruler of Chiang Rai, who'd gotten somewhat mad. Okay, I want to be kind of culturally sensitive here, but considering how many people have died for this Buddha, I need you to know that it's absolutely tiny. It's 26 inches tall and that's around 66 centimeters. I went to Thailand to the Grand Palace and saw the Buddha in the Temple of the Emerald Buddha. Yes, it has its own temple, and I'd heard all these grand tales of the wars fought, the people that died, and then I saw it, and surprise, surprise, it was yay big. It's a lot of drama. Also, it's dressed in 4 different outfits depending on the season, rather like a small emerald doll. The Buddha is considered to be an emblem of Thailand, and it's said that if the Buddha leaves the country, then Thailand will fall, which is pretty crazy because he's so small. Honestly, pictures cannot convey how wee this figure is. Alright. Coming into number 1, something I thought of immediately when I read the title of this video, but I decided not to include because I thought it was fiction. Turns out it's not. Coming into number 1, we have a ring to rule them all. Ah, my precious. I'm a creep. Good. Sometimes I feel like Gollum first thing in the morning, so it kind of makes sense. This is the Ring of Senecanenus, a large ring unlikely to fit on any finger, but perhaps a gloved thumb or a giant finger. There are 12 grams of gold in this ring, which means it's pretty chunky and expensive. The ring was found in 1785 and is inscribed with Senecanenus lives well in God. Now curiously, the ring is noted in Roman literature that says the ring was stolen from the god Nodens, and eventually anyone who bears it until it's returned to the god will be cursed. There are some spooky tales associated with the ring, and if it all sounds a bit familiar, it's because J.R.R. Tolkien based the ring in The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings on it. The ring is now the property of the National Trust and on display in the United Kingdom. Alright, I'm gonna read some comments from the live stream I just did. It was absolute chaos because you guys asked me to press all the buttons. I did, it broke down. If you want to watch it, you should. It was the top 10 scary internet myths. Tommy Veracetti said, I love to explore, but I'm too afraid of the dark web. Not because I'm worried about myself, but my family might get into trouble, else I'd have my own channel on the dark web unboxing. I'd really love to do that, but really, no, I'm too afraid. I don't believe that dark web unboxings are real, I'm just gonna say that once again. Taylor Smith said, you are absolutely cute, oh my god, I adore you, I hate that I missed this live stream. You're my favourite. Thank you. Thank you very much. But luckily, the live stream is still on the channel, so you can watch all of that chaos for yourself. And yeah, I don't know, I went pretty crazy and I stood on a chair. I don't know what to say, it's this channel, it sent me mad! Which is, I think, the official number 11 on this list. Good! Thank you. Thumbs up for my sanity, I really appreciate it. Share this video with a friend, check out the links in the description. Stick around, we've got a whole playlist of spooky videos. I'm your host Rebecca Felgate, and I'll see you next time. Bye!